Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the PowerScore benchmarking webinar. We'll give a few minutes for folks to get in and settled, but grab yourself a cup of coffee or some lunch, and we'll get started in a few minutes here. For those that are just joining, you are here for the PowerScore benchmarking webinar. If that's not what you're here for, then might want to move on, but welcome if you are, and hello Tom in the chat. Well, it looks like attendees are coming in a little bit slower now, so I think we can get started here. Thank you for the note, Tom, in the chat. Hey, Brittany from Rock Quarry Farms. Nice to have you here. I hope you are all excited for the 2025 growing season. We know we are. Yeah, so I think, Brenna, we can go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the PowerScore benchmarking webinar brought to you by New York State Office of Cannabis Management and Resource Innovation Institute. My name is Bryce Carlton, and I'm the Market Development Manager here at RAI. And joined with me is Brenna, who will be managing the slides and the chat. So thank you, Brenna. Today we're going to be going over a overview of PowerScore. So we're going to talk about how to create an account, logging in, and all the relevant data you'll need to bring, and then what you receive after completing the survey. That'll be about 30 minutes, and we'll reserve plenty of time for Q&A. So you can use the chat here or the Q&A option. So definitely start thinking of questions as we're going, and we can either answer them live or answer them later on in the webinar. Another piece of housekeeping here is this is recorded and will be provided to you later this week along with the slide deck. So if you miss anything, any links or notes that you might be taking, no worries. You'll be receiving it this week. So yeah, without further ado, we'll jump right in. Brief intro. Oh, thank you, Brenna. Next slide. Yep. So before we jump into PowerScore, we just wanted to introduce ourselves. We're Resource Innovation Institute. We are a nonprofit public-private partnership that works to advance community resilience through integrating CEA, controlled environment agriculture, into the future of farming. So we do that by collaborating with industry leaders such as technology suppliers, academics, governments, utilities, you name it. We work with them to deliver data-driven solutions to promote sustainable market development and advance circularity at the food and energy water nexus. Very important topics here. And so a little bit of a history of us. We develop partnerships with folks like the New York State Office of Cannabis Management and others across the US like Massachusetts, Colorado, California. And through those partnerships, we've built tools like PowerScore and other resources such as best practices guides to support growers. And we've been doing that since 2016. On the other side of things, we also work in the produce sector with the USDA and the US Department of Energy, building those same tools, but for non-cannabis, and those same best practices guides as well. And we've been doing that since 2020. So brief history about us there. Brenna, if you want to go to the next slide here. So we support and operate through three program areas. The first being market development. That's where I live. We're focused on guiding governments and utilities and integrating CEA to enhance their resilience. The second being education and training. So if you've ever attended one of our other webinars, we've had one specific to NYSERDA and the Office of Cannabis Management. Who's been led by Rob Eddy, our colleague. He provides growers and design and construction professionals with best practices guides and webinars and workforce development to enhance resource efficiency. And then our third one is data and research. So our goal here is to evaluate the role in advancing circularity in controlled environment agriculture while validating resource efficiency on a crop level, on a climate level, and a technology level. So that's kind of how we operate within the space. And yeah, a bit more about RAI. So Brenna, if you want to jump to the next one here. So as I mentioned, just to double up on my intro so you all really remember me, I'm Bryce Carlton, the market development manager here. And I spend most of my time doing market research throughout the US to better inform, as I mentioned, governments and utilities. But on the other side of things, I'm here behind the scenes on PowerScore. So I'll be your guy to help any questions that you might have or any issues you run into and keep that tool operating and moving. And as we keep developing it, working on that as well. And we'll be joined later by our colleague, Carmen Azaretti. And she'll also be working with me on the side of PowerScore and its development and testing and any assistance we can provide you. So a little bit more about us. But now that that's all over, we can jump into PowerScore and why you are all here today. So Brenna, yep, thank you. So what is PowerScore? Some of you may have already taken a look at PowerScore, maybe tested a record or completed a record already. And then others, you still might have no idea what it is, which is completely okay because that's why we're all here today. So at its highest level, PowerScore is a free benchmarking platform. Excuse me, a free benchmarking platform designed to help farmers track their energy use and improve their resource use. So it's an energy, waste, and water reporting platform, and it allows you to compare yourself against previous years of growing, as well as other growers that grow like you. So you can see here the tool will collect data related to energy, emissions, lighting, your HVAC systems, if you have them, of course, water, and waste. And so we collect this information and we can provide you key performance indicators, KPIs, in efficiency. So any of those categories. So for example, energy per square foot of your facility and energy per pound of product produced. So that's the productivity KPIs. And usually everyone's favorite because everyone wants to grow the most of their crop. So before we get into all the nitty-gritty and the great benefits of PowerScore, I guess we should start with how to access it. So Brenna, if you could move to the next slide here. So you can find PowerScore on either the New York State Office of Cannabis Management's sustainability page or our RII's landing page. If you could please drop that link in the chat if anyone would like to follow along here. But this is where you can find on New York's site helpful information and resources such as reporting guidance, the OCM's recorded webinar for PowerScore that happened late last year, earlier this year, I believe. And you can obviously access PowerScore here. Thank you, Maggie, for dropping that in the chat. I should have mentioned we are joined for a few folks from the Office of Cannabis Management. Maggie, Alex, and Evelyn, thank you for joining. Apologies for missing you on the introduction there. So when you access PowerScore, you'll be prompted to log in, whether it's your first time or your second time returning. If it's your first time, you'll be prompted to set a password and you can create your account pretty easily. And then you'll be brought to your dashboard. So your dashboard is your one-stop shop for everything you're going to need while you're benchmarking. So here you can manage your accounts. So for example, if you're the license holder, you're the owner of your PowerScore account. But maybe you'd prefer that your operations manager or your head grower is going to be completing these records on your behalf. You can add their email pretty easily, and they can create an access to the records for you. So you can add anyone from your team. If you want 10 different people to complete your survey, maybe that's not recommended, but you can do it. So you can add and manage accounts there. And then you can also manage your records. So quick clarifying term here, records refer to an annual 12-month period of your operations performance. So when I'm saying record, that's what I'm referring to. So you can see your previous records here, and you can of course manage them. So you can review them, you can download them in a PDF for your own tracking, and then you can of course also start a new record. So that's where you can navigate to in your dashboard and the capabilities you have. So as we're getting into starting the survey, Brennan, if you could click to the next slide, please. It's always stressed by Carmen, my colleague, and I, that you prepare before starting the survey. This can really streamline the process, make it really nice and easy for you. So we provided these resources for you all, starting with a PDF of all of the questions. So you can access this and get an idea of the types of questions we're asking, the type of data you'll be needing to bring. But even better, in my opinion, is the Prepare for Benchmarking checklist, which is a PDF of everything required and optional that you'll need to bring to complete your benchmarking journey. So you can see some of the categories here. Facility information. So facility information covers a decent amount of data, but essentially that's where you'll be inputting, whether you're growing in a greenhouse, an outdoor, indoor facility, your flowering canopy area, maybe the utility you have, general information like that, just to build a base of your record. And then you'll move into more detailed information. So for your equipment, like lighting and HVAC, you'll be asked questions that you would want to go out and grab this data before. So things like the makes and models of your lighting equipment, how much lighting equipment you have, on average, how many hours per day are all these lighting systems in use? Details like that. So we help you get a checklist to make sure you're covering all your bases there. And then you move into resource use. So you move into your water and energy consumption, which you'll see an example of in the next slide. But here it would be helpful to access either your utility bills, monthly utility bills, quarterly utility bills, your building's environmental control system, if it has the capability to keep track of this information. Or, if you don't have any of those, you're working off grid, you can of course, use any logs that you have within your operation, keeping track of any watering application rates or purchasing of gasoline or diesel for generators. So again, it would be good to start by going through this checklist, but it's not necessary. The survey auto saves every 30 seconds, I believe. And you can always go back and forth with the buttons to move to page. So if you do forget anything, no worries. We're just making sure that you're well prepared. And then lastly is production. Production, again, being people's favorite, maybe for the crop production, maybe not waste. But we can ask questions on your waste, where it ends up, so landfill, recycling, compost, to give you a KPI related to waste diversion from landfill. And then, of course, your crop production. So how much cannabis did you grow last year? So that's give you an idea of the questions and data that you'll need to complete it. If you could please move to the next slide, Brenna. This short video is just to provide an example of what it looks like to complete a record. If you could pause it real quick, thank you. So this is an example on the energy page here. So you can see some questions at the top are more qualitative, asking about if you're part of a community solar program. If you did select yes on this, you can provide any information around that. So the program that you're partnered with. You can also enter information about any renewable energy you produce on site. So how you produce it. So whether it's solar, wind, or any other options. And then how much energy you can produce on site. And then if you want to play the video again. Also, this video has no sound, so no worries. There's no technical difficulties here on your ends or ours. It's intended just for my voice to be going over it now. So just a heads up there. Yeah, you can continue, sorry. You can see here that the grower here is entering in their monthly data on their electricity use. Now, this particular grower definitely had a utility that provided them monthly bills, and they went to access it, and they could find the total kWh that they used that month. That's not the case for everyone. You might, for example, with water bills, sometimes you get those quarterly, so it might look a little bit different when you're filling it out, but no worries. No matter the cadence that you're receiving this information, you can fill it in exactly how you receive it. You can also change the units on the entries there, as you can see here for gasoline, I believe. You definitely want to make sure that you're reading your utility bills thoroughly, as you know, units can change, especially with water. We've seen it all there. So that is just an example of the energy side of the survey. And then looking towards production, you can see the page here is saving as it moves on. Production is basically the same thing, just a little easier. You can select your units, how you're measuring it, so dry weight or fresh weight, and then entering your totals there. So again, just give you a sneak peek as to what this survey offers. And yeah, we can move to the next slide here. Thank you. So after the survey, after you've collected all your data, after you've entered all your data, you receive a performance snapshot. So a performance snapshot is a summary of all of that data that you entered, so you can easily review your record. Now, looking at this now, you can see, we can move right to left here. You can see an arrow up at the top right, and you can see a percentage under it. So that is our capability to show you how you've improved year over year if you've had multiple records. So comparing yourself from 2023 to 2024, this grower overall got 74% better with all KPIs included. You can also see a little bit more into the middle there. Each individual KPI also has that improvement. So you can get it at a very granular level per KPI or your overall. You can also do this if you have multiple facilities that you want to compare against. So just some capabilities there. And then below that, you can see a percentile ranking. This is, I think, what's really great about this tool is that you can understand where you land within the industry. So this percentile ranking is calculated by showing you how other growers compare to you. So what I mean by other growers are growers that grow like you. So in this example, this is a 5,000 square foot or less greenhouse. So in this, well, after completing a record, this record is compared against all other growers that we have within PowerScore, confidentially, of course, and giving you a ranking within them. So this grower is obviously great. You can see his overall is 80th percentile. And then those bars going down the right side, those are also the percentile rankings, but for each individual KPI. So that is really great. And who you'll be compared against is a lot of Massachusetts growers that we have within our records. So similar climate zones, similar growing styles as what we've seen. And there are about 300 to 400 records in there, so it'll give you a really good idea as to where you land within the industry. Another function of the snapshot is the question marks you can see right up against the KPIs. This functions as a way to be as a way to show you exactly how we calculate these KPIs. So for example, for the energy efficiency there at the top, if you were to click that drop down, you could see that we're adding up the electric use, the non-electric use, and any other delivered fuels.
Hi, everyone. This is Elise. I am here to hold us in between for a second while Bryce is figuring out. Brenna, can you confirm, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. Bryce has left and will come back, hopefully. I was just in the process of answering Carlos's question about this platform and its ability to measure other types of license operations. And I'll answer that quickly before Bryce comes in. So this platform, PowerScore platform, is intended to measure production spaces for your cannabis cultivation facility, indoor and outdoor, to measure the energy, water, and waste as it relates specifically to growing plants. However, this platform does take into consideration the entire building envelope and can be used to measure some of the KPIs associated with your drying space, your offices, your space for people. But the primary purpose of this platform is to measure the functionality of your growing space. And so, Carlos, I hope that answers your question. I appreciate it. I'm going to try to keep up in chat here. Okay, screen is frozen. Okay, great. If anyone has any other questions, we can dive into this slide deck here. Specifically about completing your survey. The wonderful thing that I think pulls from the PowerScore platform is the ability to kind of see generally between your climate zone or your size of your facility, different states. You could compare some of your metrics across different states, or you could compare between your own facilities. So if you own and operate multiple facilities, you can see how each of your facilities are compared to each other. We have had cultivators leverage this ability to compare the two facility types to make improvements to the one facility, or before they're planning out another facility, ensure to strategize on ways that they can make those improvements beforehand. Okay, I see lots of questions coming up in the Q&A, so I'm going to address that real quick. Okay, so David, your question about micro tier. So this would be in kind of your registration when you log into your platform. We can take a look again to ensure that all of the license types are listed there. But if we don't see micro tier listed in the way that you're setting up your account, just reach out to us and we'll get that fixed for you. Tom, I'll work to find your questions here. Let's see here. Okay. Okay, yes. So Mike, your question about micro outdoor, your energy footprint is pretty insignificant. That's great. And so one of the things that we're looking to understand and where you can see is where you are using your energy and how we can make improvements or diversify your energy sources if that's something that would benefit you. Okay, so Rosemary, your question about peak electric demand. And I apologize, everyone, I'm not the expert on PowerScore. So when Bryce comes back, he might be able to answer a few more questions about exactly how you measure this in the platform. We have a few resources that would help you understand if your utility has any peak demand time periods. And from there, you can understand if you fall within any of those, if you leverage that sort of peak demand strategy use in your cultivation facility. So essentially, we're talking about fluctuating your power use on and off peak demand. And we can point you to some references in our energy management guide to kind of understand like what that looks like from your utility. Okay, let's see here. Jara, we will be sending a full recording to reference back, and we are going to be having tutorials. So we will break up the tutorials on the webpage and on YouTube into 3 parts. The first part is a general overview of PowerScore. The second part is going to be a PowerScore logging in and what you'll see and how to navigate the PowerScore platform. And then the third part will be analyzing and understanding your PowerScore record. Hey, Brenna, can you go ahead and stop sharing at this point until we're rejoined? And that way we can all see each other. Okay. Thank you, Maggie. Yes, thank you, Bob. Yes, agreed. And then we are building more. Okay, great. So Joseph, good question. He asks, we're building out more greenhouses. Is it easy to integrate things as they're added? So typically what we like to advise this platform is used most effectively after you've been in operation for a year. Once you get that baseline year in production, it's a useful platform to update on a monthly, quarterly, or yearly basis as you expand or change things in your facility. The nice thing about that is it keeps your baseline record so you can see the changes that have been made within your facility or any resources that you use over time. And so that's been a benefit to some of our cultivators as they think about what strategies that they're going to implement as they expand or as they diversify some of their KPIs that they're measuring. So the answer technically yes, is you can continue to add as you expand or further develop your operation. Okay, Jeanette's question is PowerScore mandated by OCM? If so, for what licenses? How many current report system nationwide? Who can access the data? Okay, all great questions, mostly around privacy. Excuse me. So for PowerScore mandate, this has been mandated by the Office of Cannabis Management as part of your renewal period. They have set a time frame in which to complete this record input for August of 2025. And so they announced last fall as part of quite a few other updates to their process to include PowerScore and given cultivation holders a year to complete their records. When it comes to data, so the data is completely confidential. It is held within Resource Innovation Institute's network, and we have data security protocols in place to protect your data. It is then delivered to the Office of Cannabis Management, who also has quite a lengthy support system in protection of their data. And then it remains in those 2 places. Anytime that we put any sort of reporting out related to the performance of cannabis cultivators, all of the data is completely anonymized, non-identifiable information, and we only talk about trends. We never kind of hone in and focus in on one grow. The system is nationwide, and we have had jurisdictions leverage this platform in other states, Massachusetts, Colorado, and some counties in California, and some other states around the country. But those are kind of the primary consistent users of the platform. And you can also use it as an individual user. So as Bryce mentioned, this platform for food growers can be used. We have multiple producers in greenhouses or indoor farms who have operations in different states. They like to compare their energy and resource use against each of their different facilities in different states. So hopefully, Jeanette, that answers your questions about security. David, Brenna will put in the chat the emails for Resource Innovation Institute where you can reach both Bryce and myself to answer questions if you have any questions about your specific account. And Maggie, thank you so much for dropping the resource about compliance. Appreciate it. Bryce, welcome back.
Oh,
We had
sorry.
questions come in because I really did not want to navigate the beautiful screenshots that you had of the platform. So we took a break for a minute and answered some of those questions. I'm sure that was stressful for you, but thank you for coming back. If we'd like to pick up where we left off, Brenna, if you wouldn't mind bringing that back up, and then everyone, I will still be here in the chat to answer any questions that you might have.
Yes, apologies, everyone.
Oh, no, it's all good. We understand.
Zoom liked to crash and then thought it was a perfect time to update. So apologies. So I believe I left off walking through this. I don't know exactly where I cut off. I believe it was talking about the methodology of how to calculate KPIs. Is that correct, Elise and Brenna?
Correct, yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So yeah, so you can again click those question marks there to better understand how these records and KPIs are calculated. But if you're a nerd like me and my colleague Carmen, if you want to learn any more about the methodology that goes into the entire PowerScore software, you can click into that glossary link right there. If you can throw that in the chat, Brenna, or if you already have and I missed it, sorry about that. But that is a great one-stop shop to understand exactly what's being calculated and how. So further on in this snapshot, this is talking about those efficiency KPIs. If you remember from that first slide, we do both efficiency, so per area, as well as productivity, so per pound of product. So further down, you'll be able to see your canopy productivity, which is pounds of product per square foot. So a great metric for understanding how much you're producing per area. And then all the rest of those categories of KPIs, so energy use per pound, etc. Even further than that, you'll see all of the summaries of everything you've entered, so you can understand your light types that you had last year. If you did a revamp of any equipment, you can understand some operational data as well. And that can, again, all be downloaded as a PDF. So, and then lastly here, if you notice, oof, like my energy efficiency is really high. Like I wonder what happened there. You can review and see that maybe you added an extra 0 when you were entering your monthly data. That can happen, you know, just slip of the thumb to hit that extra 0. So no worries if that happens. You can just re-enter by hitting edit score, and you can navigate to the section that you made any sort of typo or mistake and easily remedy that. So no worries there if anything like that happens. But if you experience any other issues, you can always reach out to powerscore@resourceinnovation.org. That's manned by Carmen and myself, so we cover the US of time zones, so we'll be available for you to help out with anything. So I believe that's all I had for this slide, Brenna. If you want to move into the special cases, thank you. So as I was just talking, I know, sorry about the technical difficulties, but I'm sure you're all thinking, some of you out there, you know, well, my operation's pretty unique. I have only been growing for a little bit. I don't have 12 months of data. Things like that may have been kind of popping in your head there. So we have this slide of special cases to discuss frequently asked questions and comments that we get from both folks on in New York, but as well as, you know, Massachusetts and these other jurisdictions we have experience with. So we wanted to talk through some of these just to ease any worries. But if we don't cover any of this, of course, you know, throw some questions in the chat. We'd be happy to help. So the first one, and one of the most popular, could be, what if you don't have a full year of data? I believe that's going to be the case for a lot of growers in New York, as you know, you're starting to ramp up your operation and get everything under your belt. So, you know, you might not have 12 months of data quite yet. That's okay. No worries there. You can input the amount of data that you have already. So say you've only been growing for 6 months, you can input that 6 months of data. And then you can always come back to the record once you have been growing for a full year. So no worries there. The questions, you can still move through the survey and everything. The only note there to make would be when we're talking about canopy area, we ask for the average canopy area throughout the year. As you know, some things change. You might increase or decrease production as things go. So if you were only growing for half of the year, you would want to cut in half that canopy area, would be the only thing that you would want to make sure to handle. So that's one special case that we get often. Another is how you correct a mistake, which is kind of what I got into a little bit on the slide before. The most common one, like I mentioned, is just slip of the thumb, adding another zero onto your monthly KWH. So there are a lot of windows in time completing the survey that you can notice and remedy the mistake. So while you're going through, once you complete it, we'll provide a summary of the data before you submit to make sure that you can review and double check everything. And then, of course, you can see it on the back end and easily jump back into your record and edit any score there. So no worries again. If you make a mistake, you can always edit it. How is co-location handled? So we get this often as well, and we've been starting to draft more and more questions around that. So we do ask some questions related to co-location, such as any solar or community solar that you use and renewable energy that you might partner with folks on. We also ask about CO2 supplementation. And so some folks co-locate with operations and facilities that they can source their CO2 from. So that's an option as well. And then we're always interested in learning more about co-location and how folks are doing this out there. So at the end of each page, we have a text box that if you're doing something cool and you want to share with us or keep it for your own records, we can definitely see if other folks are doing it in the industry and maybe make it into a question in the future. Another one is transitioning space. I know some of you in New York may have started growing outdoors, and maybe last year was fully outdoors, and then this year you finally got your greenhouse built and set up and ready to go. That's another easy fix there. All you really have to do is in that first page of the survey. We have spaces managed there. So if you have maybe a combination license where you have an outdoor and a greenhouse, you can add and subtract spaces as your operation matures and evolves over the years. So a very simple fix to that as well. And then lastly, a bit of a doozy is if there's no interval meter. We've run into this for sure. Most commonly, this comes down to folks' water use, as a lot of people use wells or unmetered sources. So here we usually recommend folks to get an idea of their application rates of water and calculate it that way and give an estimate from there. Similarly, as I mentioned earlier, maybe there was a generator on site and you're using gasoline. So if you're maybe off-grid growing, you can, of course, use your logs that you've used or any purchase receipts of your operation for purchasing that gasoline and using it. And then if you have any other systems on site, so whether that's a residence or another operation that's maybe you're growing produce as well on this site. It's not perfect, but we do utility bill level data because there isn't much sub-metering out there today. So it's not perfect, but those other operations on your site will be included in your benchmark. And that's the same as, if you're doing any manufacturing on site, any drying or curing or processing, that'll also be included in your benchmark. So again, it's not perfect, but it provides you a great starting point of understanding your facility's resource use and understanding how you can improve next year and the year after that. So hopefully that answered some. of your questions that you might have. But if you want to maybe start thinking of some more questions to ask in the chat, that'll be great. As you're typing those, we can cover some resources here. Oh, sorry, Brenna, if you could move to the next slide, please. Yeah, so as our colleague usually says, learning doesn't stop here with this webinar. We have plenty of resources for you all to take advantage of and use. They're all free, just like PowerScore, they're all free. And they cover just about everything you'll need within your operation, from constructing your site to your water circularity, to your HVAC and lighting, you name it. So this is all here for you to better inform any and any improvements that you have in the future. And Brenna dropped that link in the chat, so thank you for that. And then again, next slide, please. And then we also have our virtual classroom. So if you've attended one of these in the past, great to have you back. But essentially, here is some recordings for New York specific webinars where we've brought in some of our industry experts to be panelists. So we can focus on topics such as facility design and construction and energy and water efficiency. So those are all recorded and on demand, again, free for your use after you benchmark and maybe understand some of your next steps moving towards efficiency. And then an upcoming resource are tutorials for PowerScore. Luckily, my technical difficulties won't be the only resource that you have while filling out your records. Videos will be on the way for you to support you through your benchmarking journey. So those are underway and will be available to you for free as well. Great. Well, we can move to the next slide where we focus in on Q&A. If we've got some questions to go. Brenna, I lost all of the chat from when I exited from Zoom forcing me out. Is there a way that you can read any off that I might be missing, please? Or I see some actually, okay.
Apologies, I was muted. Yeah, we have some in the Q&A tab still, if you want to go there, and then I can send you the chat as we come in.
Okay, yeah, our non-operational facilities.
Here, Bryce, let's moderate. Okay.
Yeah.
So one of the questions, because there are quite a few to get through here, and please, everyone, continue to please ask in the Q&A function. So one of the questions that I was working through was private data privacy. So for those of you interested in deep diving into the data privacy requirements that RII has within our own system, we have a whole documentation that has been reviewed by cultivators, by lawyers, by OCM that talks specifically about the use of data and the privacy. At the highest level, what I will say is the server in which the information is held is protected and verified with very technical terms that I do not know. And the data itself is only shared between Resource Innovation Institute and OCM. Carmen, do you want to speak a little bit more on the security measures that we have in place for those interested?
I definitely will have to reference some of that documentation because that is not my expertise. But we do use the data also in kind of anonymized aggregate reporting. So there will never be any identifying anything in there, but it would be something like 30 facilities in this climate zone averaged this number, like that kinds of thing. And that's some of the core work that RII has done, kind of on a nationwide scale to also help advocate for real data in cannabis growth, because there has been some pretty wild claims. There was like 8 gallons per plant per day as a water consumption metric that was wild that RII helped using some real data, and that was out of California, kind of buck that. So we use that data to help kind of advocate for real information for the industry, but always in this anonymized aggregate form. So never any nothing that could ever be pulled back to any specific facility, but also never really one specific record. It's always like groups of records that are then kind of anonymized.
And I can share a benchmarking report that we have done in the past for regarding the data that comes out of this platform, so that you can see generally what the trends that we leverage to support New York's work. This will be, you can correlate what we've done for other states into New York with the reporting we'll do. And then Carmen, Jeanette has a question about roughly how many records. Do we have that number off the top of our head?
Yeah, we have over
high
300 records. I believe it's still under 325. And that's accepted into our ranked data set. So we review each record individually and, check for outliers, whether or not it's a real record, that kind of thing, but it is all self-reported. And then those that are kind of verified by us are accepted into our ranked data set. So we have multiple thousands of records, but that doesn't mean that all of them were reported by a real person for a real facility, with no errors and everything like that. So we have over 300 records in our ranked data set, and that is what we use to give you an idea of how your performance is measuring against other facilities. And so that ranked data set is used because, in cannabis, you don't really have these widely accepted numbers about what is average or what is good or what is high performance. So for each of your KPIs, you can have a little bit of an idea of how you're measuring up against other facilities like yours. And we kind of use like yours as small greenhouses or small indoor facilities or large greenhouses. And then we do have some outdoor numbers in there. Historically, we've been focusing a little bit more on the greenhouse and indoor side of things. And we do have, I would say, enough outdoor numbers in there to give you a vague idea. But yeah, I mean, OCM and working with OCM will continue to flesh those numbers out and continue to make those better numbers and continue to have OCM get better comparisons to each other. So, but a lot of those records are currently from Massachusetts as well. So the numbers that are in there are actually a pretty good climate comparison to New York. So it's not like most of those numbers are coming from California or Colorado. We do have some California, Colorado numbers mixed in there. Like I don't know, 5 to 10%, I would say, are California, Colorado numbers, but a lot of them are heavily from Massachusetts, especially those indoor numbers. So that means it's a really good comparison for New York.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carmen. Appreciate you giving the detail into the platform. Tom has a good question about how we as license holders can help RI and OCM implement and improve this process gathering data and apply them to get funding for the industry to develop environmentally responsible manner. Tom, I've appreciated the level of information you've shared about your strategies and cultivation practices. This is what RII is here to do. We were founded 8 years ago to support the cannabis industry in adopting environmentally friendly practices in a land where federal regulation was absent. And so coordination and collaboration is everything that RII stands for and helps to support the grower ultimately. And that's always been our mission and will continue to be our mission. And so with this data, when we've learned through all of this, all of our years in this industry and industries outside of cannabis cultivation, data helps support knowledge-based decision-making. And so that is the key that OCM, and Maggie, I don't want to speak for you in this situation, but the key that I've worked with these partnerships with is if we want to make better decisions, we need to have the data to support it. And this is how we're enabling that to happen. Tom, direct collaboration with RII and OCM is encouraged as well. So if you'd like to speak more about ways that we could put resources into the market, we've worked in a number of capacities to support at the grower level. And so we'll be happy to discuss that further. Okay, I'm going to continue going through Q&A. All right. Okay. We have quite a few questions, a little bit about other types of resources that we have. So what will be coming out of this webinar, of course, is going to be this tutorial or this recording that we have, and then the tutorial videos we mentioned before. The Office of Cannabis Management has a wealth of knowledge on their website, and points also to the New York dedicated website where you can access resources from other parts of guidance in webinar form or in written form. But again, we are always here to answer any questions that you have. Okay, I'm just going through these now. Bryce, is there anything else that we wanted to talk about from a like using the platform? Could we
Yeah.
talk generally about like the friendliness of the use of the platform and how to prepare your data?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so earlier in the webinar, for those who are still here, we discussed that prepare for benchmarking resource. That's your go-to to be prepared and nice and easy, seamless benchmarking journey. Other possibilities and ways that we make it easier is when you come back to re-enter your record the next year. I'm sure maybe you might be worried, I don't want to have to re-enter all this data again and again each year. We have a process to where you can copy that record and just make those small changes. So like your monthly resource use, you can keep everything, if everything did stay the same of your operation, you can keep everything the same and shorten that when you come back year after year. So that's another way that make it a little bit easier.
Awesome. Thanks, Bryce. And then I'd like to maybe talk a little bit about one way that a cultivator or operator has leveraged the information for their own personal use. Could you give us an example of you in some of these cases, you can use their name publicly for those that we know have given us the rights to discuss what they use in PowerScore. Could you talk about maybe a case study or an example of how this data has been used at the operational level to support their farm?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so on the produce side of things, waste is a massive issue. Same with cannabis as well. You definitely are only harvesting a portion of that crop most of the time. But using the waste diverted from landfill KPI, a producer, I can use their name, Local Bounty, out in Montana and other areas across the US, they were able to go from 0% of their waste being diverted, so all of it going to a landfill, and realizing that they've noticed that they needed to focus on this KPI. And in just a year, they diverted 80% of their total waste. We've seen other success stories such as that with another grower, Vertical Harvest. They actually got their waste diversion up to into the 90%. And they also dropped their energy productivity, so your energy use per pound of product produced, by I believe 50% over 5 years, Carmen, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah, I believe that's
So
about what they had.
yeah, so these are some examples of folks using PowerScore to really just understand where they are in the first year. And then each year they come back, they really understand that the changes that they're making within their operation are creating improvements overall. So
Those are also numbers that, they know that they were improving. We feel like we really got better at this. But when you actually take those numbers and you're able to use them and showcase them and see that year over year improvement and be able to take those numbers and publish them and say, we improved year over year. Look how much we've gotten better. We've made these changes. So that can be a really significant marker for people to be able to take those numbers of something they know. They know they've gotten better year over year, but by being able to use that data and showcase it, and showcase those KPIs can be really significant. And also, those were people who were not growing cannabis. We haven't worked quite as closely with cannabis growers in the past. With cannabis, you also have that comparison to other farms and facilities. So just like we were saying, you have that ability to be compared to small, medium, and large farms growing a similar way that you are. And so there you can understand, oh, I'm a little below average in this area, or oh, I'm really well above average in that area. That must mean that what I'm doing right, or maybe I have some room to improve. This is an area where I can maybe learn about some new technology. Maybe I read one of the best practices guides that we have, and it has a little bit of a targeted way that you can continue to improve your facility. So it really helps to understand the point of benchmarking is to know where you are, and then to be able to measure how you change and how you progress. And that's really a significant opportunity for growers.
Thank you, guys. we have a question from Abby about electric use. So her question is, for indoor growers, do we need to report the whole facility electricity use, or do you have to separate the usage specific to the source, like lighting or HVAC?
No separation of source. While I think if you have the ability to measure that either through your control system or something and you want to do your own benchmarking, I highly recommend it. But all of our utilities are kind of at that bill level because so few people have the opportunity to do sub-metering. And it would be really a massive ask for most facilities to do that kind of sub-metering. So all of those electricity, water, gas use, all of that is at the building whole facility level. Yeah, because that's what people have.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, going through here. Okay, great. Okay, great. Looks like y'all are having a good discussion there on how we can support each other. That's great. Okay, so with that, Maggie, okay, good question, Jeanette. How much time do you, okay, so let's talk about time commitment and how to effectively leverage everyone's precious time as we're thinking about this. So her question is specific about, on average, how long will it take to input the data into the survey? Bryce, maybe we could talk about how we could set yourself up for success so that you have an efficient time in front of your computer when it comes to inputting data.
Yep. This is a very important question, of course. We know that your time is extremely valuable when it comes to growing any crop, especially cannabis. So that's why we provided those resources like that checklist and PDF of all of the questions. That will set you up for success. So, you might have to go gather some utility bills if that's how you're collecting them, or access your environmental control system. So the upfront work might take some time of collecting that data, but once you have it and you're in the survey, depending on how complex your facility is, it's around 30 minutes to 45 minutes to complete. But then you also have to, keep in mind, yearly thing. It's still, we understand it's a lot to step away from your cultivation facility. But on average, I think that's what we see most of the time, Carmen. I would say 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah. And having that list of what you know that you need to input makes that a much easier process. As somebody who has been the person who is given, oh, we have to complete this survey thing, go figure it out. And then I'm going there and I'm like, I don't know where this is. How do I go? I have to go ask this person, I have to go ask that person. So if you're a one-person show, you probably know where all those bills are. It'll be much faster for you. If you're a larger operation, you will have to go find some lighting information and go find, who has the electric bill and things like that. So all depending on how your operation's organized, getting those things together to be able to fill out that survey is, the more significant piece of time, but filling out the survey itself, yeah, 30, 45 minutes, and then the second time, if you want to make a copy of it and just change those numbers that change, just change kind of the bill information and say that you use the same square footage, you use the same type of facility year after year, those could easily be 15, 20 minutes the second year, the third year. Or, say you want to do a test survey, you're welcome to do test surveys. I believe when we complete, we have like, this is a test, or please submit my record. So please feel welcome to go poke around, go submit things as this is a test. And, if you have one of those records, you can make a copy later. So, if you want to go poke around, please feel free to, but it's not a terribly significant amount of time. And that's why we give you those preparation resources.
Wonderful. Thank you both. Okay, great. Well, we are at the hour. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for moderating us through your technical difficulties as well. We want to have a huge thanks to all of you who are growing in the state and supporting your local economy. And we hope we can support you with further incentives down the line, or at least information to help your operations. A huge shout out to Office of Cannabis Management and all of their support. We've loved working with them, and we can't wait to continue this going forward. Our contact information has been dropped in the chat quite a few times. If you need it in any way, you can just go onto our website. Maggie has also dropped ways to get in touch with us. We really thank you for your time, and we look forward to working with you throughout the year.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.